everyone, what's up? It's Casey, and if you can't tell by this, the title of this video, this is going to be a very hard video to make, and I keep trying to film this, and every time I do, I never get to say exactly what I want to say, and I kind of chicken out and then delete the footage and then hope to try again another time. So I'm really hoping that I can make this my last time filming this. I hope to be able to get through this in a timely manner so you're not having to sit here and watch a 30-minute video. So let's get started because it's gonna be a while. Grab a cup of tea, grab some water, sit down and enjoy. How to start? Well, if you can't tell, by the title of this video, I suffered from atypical anorexia nervosa. And I'm sorry for any family or friends who have known me in the past who are shocked by this and who are upset because they found out this way instead of through me telling them, I guess. So I'm sorry for that. So what is atypical anorexia nervosa? Basically, the fundamental aspect is you suffer from anorexia, however, you are not the typical weight of somebody who suffers from anorexia. So you're not skin and bones, you're not stick thin, you're not starving yourself all day, every day, and without a refusal to eat. And I wanted to be able to do this video because in the next few Getting Back to Health series videos, I talk about the importance of having a healthy relationship with food, and none of it would make sense if you didn't know this part about me first. My first real experience with feeling an anorexic feeling was in second grade. We were having a Valentine's Day party, and through the party, we had to get up to go to a buffet. And going up to the buffet, I was nervous because I didn't want anybody thinking that I was a pig because I was really hungry that day. So I didn't want to take more food than anybody else, even though I was really hungry. And I just told myself I could go up for seconds later because there were girls watching me, and I just kind of assumed that they were looking at my plate, seeing how much food I would get. So I go sit down and start eating, and by the time I'm done eating, I realize that I am still very hungry. I didn't really grab that much. I grabbed like one piece of pizza and a few celery sticks and sat down. So after I was done eating, I realized that I was still really hungry. So there was a boy sitting next to me who had finished eating as well, but he had taken some of his cookies and food and crackers and actually put them in a napkin and put them in his backpack, saying that he was keeping them for later because he was gonna take them home to his mom because she was hungry. Our teacher found out that he was putting stuff in his backpack, and she yelled at him, asking him if he was a pig because he had grabbed so much food for himself. And at that point, I instantly was like, nope, I'm not getting up, I'm not getting seconds, I'm done, I'm not eating anything else. And I was still hungry. And all I could think in the back of my head was, I don't want to be called a pig, I don't want to be called fat, so I'm not going to eat. And that was like my real first experience with that kind of mentality. A few years later, we're going into middle school, and in middle school was really hard for me. I went to a private school. I got bullied a lot there, and mostly about my weight, being told that I was ugly and I was never going to find anybody who would love me. I was fat and all those kind of things. And I hadn't really been suffering necessarily from anorexia up to this point in time. This exact point was my turning point where I was just, I didn't want to eat anymore. Like that, like mentally did not want to eat anymore. I was ashamed every time I ate during a youth group kind of activity, and we went to McDonald's and I grabbed a cup of water and a snack wrap, sat down and went to go start eating, and a boy came up to me, told me that I was fat and that I didn't need to eat that and that he was going to help me out, and took my tray, went, threw it away, and walked away. So at that point, I was ashamed of eating. I didn't want to eat in front of everybody. I just felt fat and disgusting, and all I could keep thinking was, maybe he's right. Maybe he's right that I'm fat. You know, everybody keeps telling me that, so I must be fat and I must be ugly and I must, you know, the only thing I can do is lose weight and change that, and I thought the best way of doing that was to starve. After that whole incident, I went into full, like, I did not want to eat in front of people. I hated eating in front of people, and I went to a youth group camp, and one of my friends and I, we were walking to the mess hall, and I said how I wasn't really looking forward to dinner, and she had asked me why, and I said that I didn't really like eating in front of people, and she had kind of looked at me and she's like, what do you mean you don't like eating in front of people? And I explained to her that I just kind of felt ashamed and embarrassed whenever I ate in front of people, and she kind of looks at me and she says, that sounds like an eating disorder. You should talk to somebody. And at that moment in time, I was like, nope, like, I don't have an eating disorder. I just don't like eating in front of people. It's normal. And I walked away and really didn't talk to her till I moved. So fast forward, we moved back to a school where I was bullied at before, but kids grow up and we all became friends for the most part. Once again, I was still back in the mindset of I didn't like eating in front of people, and whenever I had to, I wouldn't, to the best of my ability. I did have a lot of friends who would always question me and ask me why I wasn't eating, and sometimes they would tell me that I needed to go eat and that they would wait till I was done eating before we would go to class. I had a lot of really great friends who were really supportive, who really kind of saw me and kind of questioned why I wasn't eating, and they were always on top of me, making sure that I was. So I had a lot of good friends in that aspect, but mentally I was just always, I felt like I hated myself. Every time I took a bite of something, I hated myself, and I just said, this is why you're ugly, this is why nobody loves you, and all that kind of, you know, just stuff that was always said to me playing back in my head. Also in high school, I met Lewis, my future husband, and he was such a huge part in my realizing that I had a problem. Always encouraged me to eat. He always was checking in on me. He even still does that to this day, where he asks me, what did I eat today? And, you know, just always making sure that I was eating and being healthy and being okay. And my senior year in high school, I was in a car accident with my mom, and shortly after that, I kind of realized that life was too short for me to be obsessing about food and be run by allowing food to rule me, basically. I then decided that I wasn't going to talk to anybody about my eating disorder because I didn't think anybody would believe me, because I didn't even really know what my problem was. Like, I didn't even, like, I just thought that I didn't have a good, healthy relationship with food. And I always told myself I wasn't anorexic, I wasn't bulimic, so I'm okay. I don't need to tell anybody. I don't need to tell anybody what I'm going through because they wouldn't believe me anyway, kind of thing. Because look at me, I'm not size 0, so nobody's gonna believe me if I say I think I have an eating disorder or I have a problem. So I decided that I needed to fix myself, that I needed to do it myself. I couldn't go and tell anybody about it. I didn't want to talk to anybody about it. I just wanted to figure it out by myself. So at that point, after the accident, I decided that I wasn't going to say no to food because that was what was getting me in trouble. Every time I said no to food was another kind of like slip into this problem that I was having. So I started saying yes. Yes, I'll have this. Yes, I'll have an extra helping. And yes, I'll eat breakfast. And yes, I'll have this and what have you. And I still wasn't creating a healthy relationship with food, and I did it unhealthfully, and I started gaining weight. So I gained a lot of weight. I believe I gained about between 40 and 50 pounds from this whole experience going into college. I think my second year in college, I I don't know, I just kind of looked at myself in the mirror and didn't like what I saw, and it was just kind of something clicked in my head again, and I was just kind of like, I've eaten myself to this point. Well, now I need to ring back a little bit. Up to this point, I was terrified to say no to food because I was so scared that I would go back into this kind of eating disorder problem thing. I started saying no thank you to certain foods, and then just gradually it snowballed into what I feared it would be, and I started going back into this old, you know, anorexic type relationship with food. The moment in my life where I knew I had a problem was I had to go to Walmart or something, and I had to pick something up, and I kind of felt nauseous, and I realized that I was hungry. So I said, okay, I'm gonna go and get a pretzel. In our little Walmart we had like an Auntie Anne's stand, so I said I'll just go and I'll grab that before I go up to campus. So I had went, grabbed a pretzel, and ate it, and then I was like, next thing I knew, I was sobbing in the car because all I could keep saying was that I'm fat, I'm disgusting, and all this stuff. I called my mom and I was telling her, you know, like, I feel fat, I feel disgusting, I can't believe I ate this, you know, what do I do? And she had asked me like, well, how much have you eaten today? Because I kept saying over and over again, I've eaten so much today, I've eaten so much today. And after she had asked me that, and I had to sit and think about what all I had eaten that day, and I realized that I hadn't eaten anything at all, and I kind of realized that I had a problem. So once again, I went back into the don't say no to food, you know, you need to eat, you need to do this, and once again I was trying to figure it out on my own. Well, come Lewis and I get engaged, we are planning our wedding, and it's supposed to be the most exciting and wonderful time of your life. And the one thing I wasn't looking forward to was the wedding dress. It was the one thing I was dreading the most because I knew that I wasn't going to like the way I looked because I wasn't happy with myself at all. And so come trying on my wedding dress, and we were at our final fitting, and I just was sobbing. I was sobbing uncontrollably because I hated it. I couldn't look at myself in the mirror. I hated the way I looked. Felt so fat and so disgusting, and I completely lost track of like just the what I was doing. Like, all I could think was that I was fat. Like, I couldn't think about the positive of the fact that I am getting married to my best friend, I am alive and well, and I have this beautiful dress on, and just I just didn't, I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy with myself. A year or so goes by in our marriage, and we go to Disney in October for my birthday. And at that point I was really unsure about myself. I felt really fat. I didn't like the way I looked. And I was still in that mindset of not saying no to food. And I had gained about another 10 pounds or so from the time when we got married. So we went to Disney, and I got really, really sick. And we didn't know why. We didn't know what was going on. And that was really hard for me because I couldn't completely enjoy Disney. We went to the doctors after we got back, and you know, we're just trying to figure some things out, and I kind of realized in December of 2015 that we don't know what's going on in my, you know, with my body or what have you, what's going on, why am I sick. But I do know that a large component of this might be I'm not eating well, I'm not eating healthy, I'm not at a healthy weight, so I need to change that, and maybe some other things will fall into place and fix themselves. So I started the Game Back to Health journey, and I started, you know, working out, I started eating better and all those kind of things, and I started kind of watching YouTubers and trying to reading and trying to figure out exactly what a healthy relationship with food is. I've lived my whole life from the time I was in 2nd grade on where I was terrified of food. Whether it was I was terrified of food for eating it or I was terrified of food for not eating it. there was just, I never had that relationship with food. I let food control me. I forgot the purpose of food in my life. And it was something that I had to discover on my own. So I wanted to start this Game Back to Health series originally because I wanted to document my journey, what was working for me, what wasn't working for me, what would work for you guys, what wouldn't work for you guys. Maybe somebody was going through the same thing I was. And I found finally that balance and that healthy relationship, and I'm so excited to plan on making more videos about talking about healthy relationship with food and how to discover. So this week is National Eating Disorder Awareness Week, and every day this week I am filming what I eat in a day. So make sure you come back tomorrow and watch those videos throughout the week all the way up till Friday. If you or anybody you know is suffering from an eating disorder, I will leave a website here. I will leave it down below. I will leave a phone number for you to call so that you can talk to somebody, anybody at all that you can talk to. I definitely could have used this when I was suffering from atypical anorexia, and it's still something that doesn't leave you. It's still something that I struggle with. I still struggle with, you know, getting up and eating breakfast in the morning, or eating lunch, or, you know, eating when I'm hungry, and, you know, just it's something that I still struggle with and I fight with, but I'm definitely leagues better than what I was before, that now that I've really discovered kind of the relationship with food and the meaning of food in my life. Thank you for listening. I know this was a long video, but I just wanted to say thank you. And if you're struggling with an eating disorder, talk to somebody. Anyway, I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye, everyone.